Today on the podcast, respect versus obedience. When that old man at the diner says, "You young kids don't respect me like they used to," does he mean obey?
Welcome to Everything with Everett. This is a talk show podcast hosted by Everett McConaughey. The purpose of this production is to share thoughts, voices, and information to further a discussion on who we are as individuals, communities, and a global society. Everything with Everett is open to all topics of discussion: faith, science, history, finances, social issues, and, well, everything. Be sure to follow, like, and subscribe. Visit everettpodcast.com for all the details.
So, utilizing my friends over at ChatGPT, I asked their advanced reasoning model to define the fundamental differences between the words respect and obedience. And before we get started, apologies if there's some weird, scratching noises or anything. The cats are choosing to play in the office where I record my podcast, and so that is what you're hearing. Anyway, let's continue as Salem and Asher play with the boxes nearby. So the words respect and obedience describe two very different kinds of relationships or responses. Even though they sometimes intersect in social and organizational contexts, here's a breakdown of their fundamental differences. First, we'll dive into the nature of the response. A respect response is internal and voluntary. Respect is an internal feeling of admiration or regard that one chooses to offer based on qualities, achievements, or ethical principles. Emotional and evaluative. It often arises from the evaluation of someone's character, competence, or values. Obedience is an external and action-oriented. Obedience is an act of following orders, instructions, or rules, typically imposed by an authority or a set of norms. Behavioral compliance. Obedience is about doing what is expected or required, sometimes regardless of personal feelings or opinions. Now let's look at the basis of the relationships. In a respect relationship, it is earned through admiration. Respect is typically earned through the demonstrated qualities such as integrity, wisdom, or excellence. It is mutual and reciprocal. It can lead to mutual regard, fostering trust and open communication. The basis of the relationship in obedience, it is imposed by authority. Obedience often comes from a hierarchical structure or social order where commands must be followed. Conditional on roles. It is more about fulfilling one's role or duty and may not necessarily imply personal admiration for the one giving the orders. What are the outcomes and interactions? Respect encourages positive relationships. When respect is present, it fosters loyalty, collaboration, and a positive environment. It can inspire voluntary compliance. People who respect someone are more likely to follow their advice or leadership because they value the person's judgment. Obedience, on the other hand, ensures order and functionality. Obedience helps maintain structure, especially in situations where following procedures is crucial. Examples given in the military or during emergencies. And obedience may lack emotional connection. Obedience can exist without genuine admiration. It's possible to obey someone purely of a sense of duty or a fear of consequences. So in summary, respect is a voluntary, emotionally driven recognition of worth, which builds trust and mutual admiration. Obedience, on the other hand, is about the act of following directives from an authority, ensuring order and adherence to established rules regardless of personal feelings. Understanding these Distinctions can clarify why a leader might be respected for by their followers, but not necessarily obey them in every instance. Or conversely, why someone might obey an order without truly respecting the source of that order. So when an old person tells you, take off your hat, is it out of the social norm of you shouldn't wear a hat in public? Or is it out of obedience because an older person is telling you to do something? And challenge people on that. If you see demonstrations of someone wanting you to, air quote, respect them, but they're actually misappropriating the word and intending you to be obedient, challenge them on their knowledge. Educate them. The more you know. So that has been a light, deep dive into the differences between respect and obedience as we see it on the increasing global discussion stage around the world. It's important. Words have meaning. Words are important. Words have value and consequences. So, wearing a suit to a meeting is a great gesture of dignity, respect for the office. But telling someone to come back, when they are willing to show that respect, that transitions into obedience. You will bow before my merry court. Anyway, just something to think about. I hope you are well. I am trying to find my future direction of this podcast for now. The world is such a weird place, and I'm just simply enjoying my professional achievements and growth, my home life, and trying not to dwell in the darkness that often is rampant in the headlines these days. So stay away from the news. Keep your inner peace. That is the most sacred treasure that you have. And I will see you on the next one. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Everything with Everett. Connect with Everett and other listeners on Facebook and Twitter at Everett Podcast. Everett would love to hear from you. Share your thoughts by emailing mystory@everettpodcast.com. You can also leave a voicemail or send a text message to 208-391-2808. Choose to listen, speak with kindness, and have a great day.